right, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Man to Man podcast. We obviously had some technical difficulties earlier, but we're back to run it back. Yes, it is episode 10. We'll be talking about J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson. I added in a little bit of Russell Wilson, and then we'll also be talking about the AFC East's needs, because there's a lot of them. For now that the Patriots are bad, they all need help. And then we'll get to the and maybe some college football. Probably no NBA though. All right, so today we will start with today in sports history, and I said last time, I'll say it again. I'm going to do random ones and a lot of cricket because I don't understand what they mean. So in 1930, brilliant West Indian cricket batsman George Headley completes twin tons, 114 and 112, in third test win against England at Georgetown in British New Guinea or British Guinea. Okay, cool.
I don't understand anything of what you just said, but we're here. We're having a good time.
I've seen like the test thing before, and I know they hold bats, so I get that, but I have no idea what twin tons are. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? I don't know what the third test is either. I've just seen tests in.
Are those like matches in tennis? How there's like six or seven games, or I don't even know. I am so flustered by that. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
Anyway.
Actually, before I move on, there was I saw a headline today about the English cricket team and how they folded and lost to somebody. So we love cricket around here.
Cricket guys.
I honestly don't think even if I tried for a full year, I could understand it. In 1970, this is a bit back to normal a little bit. In 1977, New Orleans, I don't know what their name was. Pete Maravich set the NBA record for a guard with 68 points. I mean, that's like a night out for Devin Booker and James Harden.
LeBron,
I mean, that's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing anymore. So
were they the Jazz at that time? I feel like that was the New Orleans Jazz before they moved to Utah. I don't know.
It might be, yeah, because Pete Maravich went to LSU. So, in 2018, the 23rd Winter Olympics closed in Pyeongchang, Korea. Norway won a record 39 medals and 14 gold. I mean, it's not really fair. They have snow all the time. So,
that's very true.
And it's also weird that like this is when the winter. I just realized it's pretty early for the winter games to close. Like they usually don't start till like late February, I don't know. All right, we'll move on into even though we did miss. We're not going to have the soccer talk now. Bummer. All right, well we'll get into the NFL a little bit because we obviously have to talk about that, and I'll let you take it over once I a little bit explain it. Tom said today and sent over that Watt is attracting offers. DJ Watt is attracting offers around 15 to 16 million. And I believe yesterday John Clayton said that his final three is down to Buffalo, Green Bay, and Tennessee, and the Raiders are a dark horse. So it's your story. What's up?
Yeah, so I only saw the news, the headline that he was drawing around 15 to 16 a year. I didn't really see. I thought it was a year. And I'm pretty sure it's definitely per year, and I just don't understand where they're getting at. And I only read this stuff by Clayton right when you sent it to me, and I don't know how I feel about all the spots. I mean, I think the Raiders as a dark horse could be very good. Obviously, they need some help there because Clelin Ferrell or whatever the hell his name is hasn't produced since being drafted number 4 overall. I think that was Gruden's first pick, right? Since he was back.
Yeah, I didn't know he was the 4th pick.
Yeah, he was the 4th pick. It shocked everyone.
I thought the other dude was. I thought it was I can't think of his name, but I thought it was the other Clemson guy that got picked early. But yeah, I mean that was Gruden's first pick. I just looked it up on YouTube or on Wiki. So yeah.
Yeah,
he was first round.
Number 4 pick. No, everyone had him as a first round talent, and they could have got him in that second first rounder they had. But I think that pick they took Damon Arnett, or was that this year or last year?
I don't know.
I couldn't.
Keeping the drafts in my head at this point, like now that we're approaching draft season, like 2020 draft and everything before that didn't happen to me. Like it's just
Fair
the
enough.
2021 draft now.
Anyway,
but yeah.
So the Raiders as a dark horse, I don't know why you would go there to win, because obviously JJ Watt's looking to win somewhere. So maybe just he wants to go play in Vegas. I mean,
I mean, and also, I mean, Tennessee really doesn't seem like real. I mean, their fit. It's kind of a fit because I mean, Mike Vrabel's. I mean, he's just like a defensive guy, but I believe he coached with the Texans, right? Yeah, he did.
I think for a time he did.
Yeah,
yes.
because when JJ Watt was on, when he was insufferable on Hard Knocks, when he was doing the money or the Papa Shop machine, and he was like Linkin Park was playing, and he was singing it to himself. He was insufferable, and he's gotten a little bit better, but whatever. But yeah, I just don't see Tennessee. I mean, I understand the connection, but that's not going to put them over the hump to.
I understand that they very much need an edge rusher, but I think you have some other stuff here about JJ Watt and kind of your 2 cents on him, and I agree a lot with it. So why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Well, and the Titans, anyways, are going to have bigger like offensive holes to fill because I mean they're probably. I mean, someone's going to offer Corey Davis a contract he can't refuse just because he's young and he can actually catch the ball. So he'll get a contract. So they're going to need to replace him. Other than, I mean, if I'm the Tennessee Titans next year and you lose Corey Davis, I mean, I'm putting 9 guys in the box every time, and just
you need to go out and get a 2 receiver or a true 1 and let
or a tight end, like a good tight end. Because I mean we've seen in the NFL they try to do it and it kind of works at the end of the season because it's a little bit everyone's tired, but I mean that you can't run the ball like 500 times with one guy in the league anymore. You just can't do it, or else he's going to be. I mean, I do already think Derrick Henry's going to have a shorter career because I mean he's being used so much. But so I don't really see the Tennessee fit. I see the way after we talked about it last time. I see the Buffalo fit. I just don't know if I was a Buffalo front office guy that I'd be willing to pay that money for him. And for I mean, I hate keep going back to this, but last time when we talked to Dawsey, I mean, the chances that JJ Watt misses time next year, barring like a COVID or anything like that. I mean, it's not high as 91, but I mean, the guy he's played one full season in his life. And that one full season was incredible, but he's played one full season.
Well, and I'm going to have to say it again, because obviously this is our second take and everything, but we're not going to include the first one. The Buffalo fit just makes sense to me, and I actually really like it after we kind of talked about it a little more. I pulled up the Buffalo depth chart again. Jerry Hughes, Ed Oliver, Vernon Butler, and Mario Addison on paper should be getting enough pressure in the pass rush to have everyone else drop back. And we kind of talked about how out of their linebacker situation, they're not really adept enough to be those edge rushing guys. They're more pass coverage guys, which means if you're going to want that, you're going to need a strong front to kind of provide that pass rush attack. So, and the solution that I kind of came up with was move Mario Addison back to D tackle, because even though he broke out as a defensive end with the Panthers.
You mean Butler?
No, move Addison to D tackle.
Okay, you said Butler the other time. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, well, I said I either move Butler on or move Butler out of that spot for Mario Addison to kind of let him get back to being just the bull rush guy he was before he was a defensive end with Carolina. And then you have JJ Watt running at the defensive end on the right side, and he can be a really good mentor for the guy that they took in the second round, and AJ Epineza. You know, the guy is very similar to JJ Watt, has a lot of the same physical abilities I felt when Watt was coming out of college. Obviously not now, because JJ Watt has put so much time and effort into becoming as jacked as he is. Excuse me. But for him to be a mentor for Epineza, that could be a really positive effect on him. And then when Watt does go down, because like you said, he has a 91% chance on that one site of missing some time, which is
sportsinjurypredictor.com.
Yeah.
Sportsinjurypredictor.com.
I
I'm just gonna post an article tomorrow that says JJ Watt's already injured because the pro injury predictor said he's going to get injured this year. So I'm just already writing the article early enough. JJ Watt will get injured this year. I win on that one.
You do win. But
and then,
when Watt does go down, Epinez against Slot-in was the last thing I was going to bring up.
Yeah, but I feel like the Bills. I feel like the NFL. I mean, we've kind of talked about this, but I feel like the NFL is in such a weird place where I mean, you have the young teams. You have Buffalo. I consider a young team. I mean, their best players are young. I mean, you have the Ravens, who are actually aging more than they would like to lead on. But I mean, Lamar Jackson's 21, 22. And then you have like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they're all pretty young. So I just don't know if that puts Buffalo over the edge. And also, at this point in his career, I would rather have Watt play on the inside. And I know that he's more injury prone if he plays on the inside, but I don't think he's not as quick as like Bosa, both the Bosa guys, or Chase Young or anything.
That's a really fair point.
I mean, clearly, like there are only a couple of defensive ends out there that young defensive ends out there that I think can change a team. I mean, I like Brian Burns with Carolina, right. And we'll talk about that in a sec when we get to the Deshaun Watson. Brian Burns, obviously Chase Young. I mean, this is off topic, but I think people are going to start trying building defensive lines the way that the football team, the Washington is actually doing right now. I mean, they have one of the best best young defensive lines we've seen in decades, or not decades, in a couple of years. I mean, Jonathan Allen and then Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's very solid with a bunch of young talent right there.
So I just don't know if a 32-year-old defensive end has. I mean, because how many games wasn't he out at the end of the year this year as well?
I think he was out mid-year. I want to say he missed like 2 or 4 games somewhere in there. I want to say like week 10-ish. So it was later in the season, but yeah. I get that.
Yeah, he hurt his leg. He missed the season. He suffered a leg injury. He had to get surgery. I don't know what it was, so I'm not going to comment on it really, but it's just a lot to put into a guy that you really don't know. I mean, we learned that from the Tennessee Titans last year, who moved heaven and earth to sign Jadeveon Clowney just to have him miss the entire season. Now he's a free agent again and will not. I mean, the Titans might as well sign him back because he's going to be at the cheapest price he's ever going to be.
Yeah, and I totally get that, but I actually think that there's going to be a relatively big to decently sized play for a guy like Clowney, just because of that P word that everyone values so much, potential. He has the potential to be very good again, and he's cheap. So if you don't like the Buffalo going Watt, who do you want over him? And would you see J.J. Watt going to Green Bay over that?
Well, we talked about Green Bay last time. If John Clayton says he's not going to Green – oh, no, I'm thinking – oh, yeah, I'm thinking of the Steelers.
Thinking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's not. John Clayton said he's not going to the Steelers, and I understand that because the Steelers are also in a weird place where they have like a 42-year-old quarterback that they want back, or that's at least what Rooney said. So I don't know if that's really a place you want to land, anyways. If you're J.J. Watt, considering Smith-Schuster is just like I said about I don't know, it's the other receiver I saw, but Smith-Schuster is going to get a contract from somebody that's a lot of money. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have always been like they're almost like the Patriots in that way, that they're going to let Smith-Schuster walk and they're going to build around Claypool.
Just on that, since you brought it up, there was a report today from Juju. I believe it was Juju. Maybe it was Juju's agent. No, it was Juju, who said like he wants to re-sign with the Steelers and he wants to retire a Steeler. So whether or not that gets them a discount to bring him back, I don't know.
I mean, how many Super Bowl? Like, I feel like you have to either win a Super Bowl or come like incredibly close to like kind of be like, oh, I'll take a discount. Like, and let's face it, a lot of the Steelers players have been taking discounts for years. I
Not
mean, Big
Roethlisberger.
Ben's. Yeah, I would say Big Ben is taking up probably a third of their cap room the past
Do you know
couple of
what his
years,
hit
and
is supposed to be right now?
isn't it like 21 and a half?
42 on the cap hit. He's taken
Jeez.
up
I mean,
42, and they're going to rework it. Obviously, Big Ben said he's working out for something or working it out so that they could find something for both sides. Obviously, the Steelers won out of that, but as of right now, his cap hit is $42 million in the 1 year of cap. Not over the 3 years, not over 4 years. 42 this year.
that's why he signed it, because it was probably backloaded. And I mean, that clears things up as to why Rooney came out and said we want Big Ben back. Not because you actually want to play quarterback for you, because you're going to lose a lot of money if you don't. If he doesn't come and play next year. And then Big Ben to me has the same issues that JJ Watt has. I mean, he can't move. I mean, obviously playing the Browns in the playoffs was a very, very extreme example of Ben Roethlisberger, but I mean, he can't move. He can't move in the pocket anymore. And it's just, that's not, if I'm JJ Watt and I want to go to a winning team or a young team, I'm looking at the Bills. I'm looking at wherever Deshaun Watson goes. And I'm looking at maybe the Browns or the Chiefs or some of those younger teams.
What about the other team that Clayton said with Green Bay? What do you think there?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if just like the same thing for Buffalo. I don't know if that puts them over the top. I mean, we're also going on the fact that we think Aaron Rodgers will be the same form next year, which he should be if it's anything like the track record. But I just don't know why I mean, they're going to have to – I don't know if they already paid these guys, but they're going to have to pay Rashawn Gary soon. They're going to have to pay that linebacker. I can't think of his name.
Preston?
Zach no, it's like Zach. I don't know. He's an outside linebacker. He's an edge rusher.
Aren't there two brothers on that defense?
I'm talking about Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, and Preston Smith, the brothers. I picked the wrong one.
I didn't know they were brothers. Yeah, but I mean, he's 27. They're gonna have to pay him soon. So it's just not. I wouldn't look at that.
One of the bigger name free agents that we talked about on one of our earlier shows that you really liked was Corey Lindsey. I think his name was the center.
Yeah, and
they're letting him walk.
I was gonna say. I said at the time, I was like, I doubt they'll let him walk, but they're gonna let him walk because they have Bathraki at left tackle, and that's a bold move. Then again, Lindsey is going to be 30 next year, and you really, center is one of the most not divide. I don't know what the word is. It's the most up and down position. He could be next year. He could be terrible.
It's one of the positions with the highest progression and regression rates.
Yeah, and he was obviously good this year, but you have Aaron Rodgers behind you. He moves in the pocket. He does everything, so he helps you out a lot as well. I would say David Bathraki, or whatever you say his name, is probably looked at as the league's best left tackle. But if he didn't play in front of Aaron Rodgers, it might be a little different.
Yep. So,
so I have some other guys here that I like. If I'm the Browns, and probably if I'm the Bills, because I look at them as kind of in the same position. The Browns and Bills. If you actually look at their rosters, they both have young quarterbacks. I think Josh Allen's better. They both have star wide receivers. They just have a better one, and one that's actually plays. And they both have young, lockdown corner. So looking at that, the way I look at the Brown, we talked about the show that went bad. The Bills really need a linebacker more than anything, and I would take Von Miller, who will command a big contract because I think he's going to be 32 as well. But that kind of fills two voids on the Bills, and then just some other names that I would definitely take Leonard Williams over him. I would probably take Melvin Ingram over him because he's going to be at about a quarter of the cost. Bud Dupree is going to be 28, so he's either going to look to Bud Dupree's either going to look to go to a winner right now, or he's going to look to get his paycheck now, and then maybe in his heydays he'll look to a winner. And then I would still take Jadeveon Clowney because it's going to be an eighth of the price that Watt is after he got hurt again. Even I don't even know if I would take Jadeveon Clowney. I'd be if the Browns signed Clowney, I'd be like, all right, dude, you don't touch the field until game 1 of the regular season. Like you're not playing in preseason.
Hurt in my training camp, bro.
Yeah,
no way.
You're not playing no training camp. Like you are not like you can ride the bike all damn training camp. And then obviously I have Shaquille Barrett down here, but he's also all kind of made that clear that he also made it clear he wants his money, and they're going to have the Bucs. I mean, we've talked about last time in a couple of the past shows. I mean, they're going to have to make some decisions because I think it's going to be hard to keep three linebackers the caliber of Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, and Devin White. So it'll be interesting.
And they have to pay Chris Godwin, who Arians said think they could bring him back because he wants to be there. And he actually commented and said, "Yeah, I loved being here, but I also like getting paid."
Yeah, I think Godwin. I mean, we'll go off topic for a second. Think about all the guys so they have Antonio Brown's got to be a free agent. That's probably not. You don't even. I wouldn't even think about bringing him.
They're
going to
bring him back.
I wouldn't.
Tom Brady and him have a very brotherly like connection. That's why he followed him.
Relationship, an odd relationship. It's they have an odd. Tom Brady's relationships with every guy is weird. Like it's like like Antonio Brown is like 3 years younger than him, and I bet he looks at Tom Brady like his father.
That's what I'm saying. He's like a brotherly, fraternal kind of thing there. Gronk and Brady are literally brothers. Like they hang out all the time in the offseason.
I saw something about Gronk the other day that nothing real big, but they were just it was an article basically like, what if Gronk decided to leave Brady? Like, what if he wanted to go to the Dolphins or something? He wanted to go to California or something. I don't think he ever would, because if he ends up not being as good, even though he's older and people would write it off for that, and he'd probably still be the best tight end in NFL history. But I mean, there's that chance that he's just not as good without Brady. So they'll try.
Let's just set the record straight here. He's not as good without Brady. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, no one's as good without Brady. I mean, Randy Moss wasn't as good as Randy Moss was with Brady. Very true. Without Brady. So yeah, I mean, I think that they'll let him maybe walk. I mean, they're safe. They're corners. I think they're all young corners. They're probably on the rookie deals. I just don't know. You're going to have to prioritize the 3 linebackers, and you're going to have to prioritize, do you want 2 middles and a new outside, or an outside and 1 middle?
And that's just looking at defense. Like we said, I brought up Godwin. I know Mike Evans just restructured his contract. Godwin needs to be paid. Leonard Fournette is a free agent now, and he's better than Ronald Jones, in my opinion.
I mean, Leonard Fournette's stock has never been higher since draft day, since draft day, or even going back to his like freshman year at LSU, because he was the number 1 pick then. And I thought he kind of fell down, but so yeah, he's going to get paid somewhere. Not a lot, I don't think. I just don't think people are going to pay. Why do you want the Jets to get like? You need to understand how to build.
I need a running back, bro.
You need to understand how to build. Then go trade for Zeke.
No, because then I have to give up draft picks. Also, I can just throw all the money in the world at Leonard Fournette.
Okay. I mean,
I need those draft picks to build my line.
That's silly, though.
I need the draft picks to build my line to open up the space for Leonard Fournette to do his work and earn his money.
Okay, then who's going to throw it to him on the screen pass?
Sam Darnold.
Okay, then who's Sam Darnold throwing to without Leonard Fournette? Evan Ingram? Oh, no, he plays for the Giants. Sorry.
No, I mean, Denzel Mims.
Robbie Anderson? Oh, no, he's with the Panthers.
Denzel Mims looks like he could be really good. He had a strong 8 games for when he played. Jay Crowder had a really good connection with Darnold until Darnold decided to go get mono or whatever the hell he was out for this time. And they could draft another wideout because this year's wideouts class is very deep.
With their first pick?
No. I want Sewell with that first pick.
You're not getting Sewell.
Why?
You're not getting Sewell.
He's not going number 1.
He's not going number 2 either.
He could.
He's not going number 3. He's not going number 3 either.
Look, we saw Joe Douglas pass on CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy to go with Mekhi Becton. All right, anything is possible. He's
I'm
a
just
big
saying.
believer in building up a big line. So
I still think if they traded back with, I don't know why the Bengals would. I mean, the only reason the Bengals would want to trade up is to trade with the
Sewell.
Jets so they could get Sewell.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have come to the point now, and we're way off topic, but that's fine. I've come to the point now where I would say I'm about 75 to 85% sure that it's the top 3 picks are going to be Lawrence, Fields, and Zach Wilson. With Lawrence first, and then however those 2 go next. And I also now think Trey Lance is going to go
top 10,
way too high. So I mean, it just shows you how big of a need the quarterback is. But yeah, I agree. The Jets should want Sewell, but
dude, it's so annoying to go on like the Jets social medias and go in the comments and everyone's like, "Oh, I want Jamar Chase. Oh, I want this." I'm like, bro, if you're not getting a quarterback or Sewell, trade down because I don't want it other than those 2 from the 2 pick. Right? If you want Jamar Chase, then get us some draft picks and pick him at 5 with the Bengals. I do not care, but you are not taking Jamar Chase over Sewell or one of these other quarterbacks.
Exactly. The Browns had basically could have been the best receiver of this decade in Josh Gordon if he didn't get into drugs and bad things. But I mean, he was the only receiver in NFL history to put up 2 back-to-back 200-yard games. And I think he almost had 2,000 yards that one season. He was really good. So I mean,
and that one season
if you don't have a quarterback, you're screwed. But go ahead.
So first thing for that was Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, and the list goes on. He's younger than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, who was a rookie. He's like a full year younger than. He's only like 22, 23 years old. He has a lot more time to develop, I think. And I'm a big believer if you're taking a young quarterback with a very early pick like we did with Darnold and like you guys did with Baker, utilize the time you have, right? So that he's down 3 years. He has the 4th year left, and we could pick up his 5th year option, which is basically pennies on the dollar. I don't see why you don't roll with it unless you're going to get a new guy and trade him for picks. But in my perfect scenario, if you're bringing in Leonard Fournette, you're drafting Sewell and doing whatever the hell you want with that 2nd pick, give the man the time. Like, make the investment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just see what he's got.
I've also heard Sewell's stock is a little bit fluttering right now.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And
basically, I've heard that he isn't really a left tackle caliber in the NFL. He's more of a right tackle.
And that's why it's perfect for the Jets, because we have Becton on the left side, who's a wall. No one gets around him. He pancakes everyone. We could just have Sewell on the right side and be set with 2 cornerstone linemen for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, but you're still missing one thing.
The Jets are the Jets.
No, a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback.
Like I said,
there's one team in the NFL that I think Sam Darnold could go to and have success. Who do you think that is?
I have 2 guesses.
Okay.
Chicago or Washington?
No, both no.
Really?
He could go to Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh traded for him, he could go to be the new Big Ben. They have the same build. They have the same arm strength. They're like
Darnold's
the same dude.
Athletics.
Better than when Big Ben was young. He was good. Like, he moved in the pocket.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, I don't know why everyone's – you know what? I'm going to make a statement. No, this is 100% a joke, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't know why everyone's saying the Steelers need a quarterback. They got a young guy.
Mason Rudolph? Are you serious?
Dwayne Haskins, baby. They signed him, remember?
Oh, they did sign Wayne Haskins.
They got their young cornerback.
I do have to say that even though Ohio State has become like a quarterback factory, they don't put out very good pros lately. I mean, hopefully Justin Fields breaks that mold, but I mean,
yeah.
Cardale Jones went to the XFL. Braxton Miller played receiver for a little bit. I don't think JT Barrett ever even made it past the practice squad.
No, he was he was the 3rd string for the Chargers for a little while.
So basically, yes.
Anyway,
practice squad. I think that's the best job in sports, honestly. The third string quarterback. You're living in LA. You get paid 610. Well, it's actually up this year because they upped it's like 800,000 a year to live in LA and just basically hold a clipboard.
And be the fake guy doing the fake signs.
And literally, no matter what, you're not going in because you're the third stringer. And if Justin Herbert gets hurt, whoever the backup is going in. And if the backup gets hurt, they're putting a receiver at quarterback before you. So Probably. You don't have to ever worry about going in the game. There is no pressure. That is the greatest job in sports, not an athlete.
So I have a quick question before we move on. And again, we're kind of a little off topic, but the question came into my head, and I've been hearing a lot of buzz about it, and I wanted to get my college football expert's opinion on it.
Okay, yes.
I have been hearing, and I find this very invalid by anyone that says it, but I've been hearing more and more rumblings that Trevor Lawrence is not the bona fide number one pick because of one Zach Wilson.
I don't know where you're hearing that from.
I don't know.
The only place you could hear that from is Jacksonville's camp, and they're probably just trying to throw smoke. I would be 1,000,000,000% shocked if they didn't take Lawrence. I would assume that's throwing out smoke. I haven't seen Trey Lance play. I don't think Zach Wilson's that good, and he has a lot of question marks as well. Did you know that on the BYU team, granted, he was probably one of the younger players because they're all Mormon and they're like 27. But did you quarterback's a captain, right?
Right.
How are you not a captain on your own team if you're going to be the number 2 pick in the draft?
He wasn't a captain?
No. And usually that means you have an Alabama team, like you have Devonta Smith and Najee Harris, who are those are the captains.
Those are the captains, yeah.
You can be okay with that. But
it's
on BYU, yeah. So
even Taysom Hill was the captain for BYU.
Just more and more. I have heard that Trevor Lawrence, people think he's actually too tall.
Yeah, that's basically where it's stemming from.
Yeah, there's a track record of guys basically the size of him. Ryan Mallett was a little bit taller. Osweiler, they were about the same size. And like I said, Ryan Mallett, neither of those guys had success. I think he's going to be able to put on muscle. I guess I don't know. The only other weird thing that when you brought up Trevor Lawrence is because I heard this the other day. There's some rumors going around about his brother.
His brother? What do you mean?
I don't know. He's a bad dude.
Well, that's I need to hear what exactly he did before I can make a statement.
I guess there's not really have you seen a picture of him?
No, let me look him up. What's his name?
What's his name?
It's all right. I'll just
Chase. Chase Lawrence. I'm trying to find him. Yeah, just search it on Google Images. He looks like Trevor Lawrence, but older and Shaggy.
Version?
And older and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what about him?
I guess he's just a real hippie and things like that.
Look,
NFL teams will find anything to do anything to a prospect.
The only thing that I will say about this, and now that I kind of know what it is, I can make my statement. That doesn't affect Trevor. You can talk all you want about his brother, but at the end of the day, it's not going to affect what he does on the field or how he goes about his business. So I take that with a grain of salt.
All right. I understand that. Personally, I haven't really heard this from anybody, but personally, I would be skeptical taking Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't be. I would still take him number 1 overall. But the main skeptical thing I would be is I want my quarterback to have some swag and be able to fight back. Dude, Trevor Lawrence doesn't swear. He's like Phillip Rivers. I don't want that kind of guy.
I love that about Phillip Rivers, though. Dadgummit, shoot.
I don't want my quarterback sitting there and he gets sacked and he looks at Chase Young after sacking him. It's Chase, that was a great sack, sir. That was a great sack. May God
did that.
I guess he did okay with the Colts for 7 years, but did retire at 30. So You got to think Trevor Lawrence did 3 years. He's you get 8 years of Trevor Lawrence. You just hope his body can take it. All right, we got to move on.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to a step away from the draft, and let's move on to more trade rumors.
Yes, that's really the only thing going on. We'll talk about Deshaun Watson first.
Beautiful.
The Texans are reportedly refusing to trade him. He sat down with the new coach and basically told him, I still want to trade. And the Texans have no intention of trading him, and Deshaun Watson is standing pat and has no intention of playing for the Texans ever again. I don't know what to think of this. I really don't want to turn into something like political and serious, where it comes down to the fact that he won't play, and then it's gonna I don't want it to come down to that, but I could see that happening. Like I said the last time when we got messed up, the more and more this goes on, the more and more I think he's gonna end up in a Texans jersey.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. If I'm another GM on another team, right? Let's say I'm the Jets, the Dolphins, the Broncos, any of their GMs. I look at this situation and it's a turnoff. I'm not gonna lie. For me personally, it's a turnoff because if I'm going to be sending you a young quarterback, 2 first-round picks, another future first-round pick, and another young player, a young star, or just extra draft capital or whatever, if I'm spending that big of an investment for a guy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not questioning Deshaun Watson's ability. I think he's top 5, maybe top 3 quarterback in the league, right? But I don't know if I could pull the trigger on a deal like that, knowing that if he's unhappy with the situation that he's in on my team, he could do this thing all over again until he gets where he wants. It's like the Brett Favre situation.
It's the NBA leaking into the NFL. Yeah. So from everything I've seen, it looks like the Panthers have the most to give, and a package that they need to give basically consists of McCaffrey, either DJ Moore or Brian Burns, their 2020 first-round pick, their 2022 first-round pick, and possibly other things. And this is more of a question, I guess, to you, really. I have it on here. Yes, you want to build around a quarterback. That's your goal as the NFL. You want to find that quarterback. But the Panthers would be literally starting over as a franchise, if they gave away McCaffrey and all that for Watson. And if that's the offer that maybe won't even get it done, I'm kind of out on it.
And honestly, I meant to send this to you. Do you watch Good Morning Football?
No.
Well, I watch it sporadically.
I win football. I win football games in Madden. Guess how many sacks Chase Young has through 14 games?
19.
35 and a half.
Great. Anyway,
I'm actually going to win the Super Bowl. Because I'm not going to quit because I just love sacking the quarterback with Chase Young.
Okay. You said 35 and a half. Bro, what? Anyway.
It's on all Madden. My offense isn't very good. It basically just consists of Kyler running the ball. He's probably going to win MVP, though, so I'm just really excited I've made it this far without quitting and restarting.
Anyway,
I should have started a Twitch for this all, because after this, I'm definitely heading down to win 3 more regular season games and save up tomorrow, where I go all in for the playoffs. But go on. I don't even know what we were talking about.
I asked if you watched Good Morning Football, and now we're here talking about Madden.
No, I don't. Is that on NBC? Is that with?
No, it's on the NFL Network.
Okay, no, I don't watch it. No,
it's with Nate Burleson.
I've seen it. Yeah, Joe. I remember Joe.
They're
Thomas
in the Madden
was on
games.
it.
If you play the face of the franchise, that's the show. Anyway, so on there, one of the guys hosts. I watch it fairly regularly, so I refer to him as Peter, and I forget his last name right now. They were talking about this exact scenario, and Peter gave his suggested trade offer. And the only way I actually heard this was from a fantasy football Facebook group that I'm in, One of the guys in there said, if this happens, I'd never watch another Panthers game in my life. He's a huge Panthers fan. The trade offer that Peter suggested on Good Morning Football was get your notepad ready. You ready? Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Brian Burns, Teddy Bridgewater, this year's first round pick and next year's first round pick.
I mean, you're just mantling. I mean, I would have no problem with giving away Teddy Bridgewater. Honestly, if I'm the Panthers, I would give up my first round pick this year and my first round pick next year, Brian Burns and Robbie Anderson for Watson, because then that leaves you with probably the best backfield in the NFL.
You have to give up Bridgewater in that too. I agree, but I don't. I don't know if I value Brian Burns as high as I value Jeremy Chin, if that makes any sense whatsoever, just based on positional need in the NFL. There's not as many good safeties as defensive linemen.
You'd find. I'm not going to argue with you, but I think you'd find a lot of people that disagree with you,
and that's fine. And this is just coming from me.
I think cornerback is very. I mean, if you have a young cornerback, I would rarely give that up for anything. Yeah. Young safety, I don't think safeties have that much of an impact on the game. I mean,
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So go on.
This might just be because we traded Jamal Adams and we got left with Bradley
Marcus May.
No, we had him. They were the best safety duo in the league. But anyway, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Brian Burns, Teddy Bridgewater in your next two first. What?
I mean, yeah, I know, and we talked about it a little bit on Monday. If I'm the Texans, I don't want a quarterback in exchange. I'm going to take one of those first round picks and draft a quarterback. If it's 8, 9, 10, I'll take Lance. Or, I mean, I guess it'd be good if you have a guy like Bridgewater, but he's cool with coming in and be a backup or like more of a bridge the gap kind of quarterback.
I mean, he's only got 2 years left, so that's exactly what it would be for Lance.
Yeah, and I mean, so that's just way. I mean, the fact that you're setting your team back about 4 years. So, like I said, the Panthers would basically be the Houston Texans of 2000, an expansion team, except they would have Deshaun Watson instead of David Carr.
Yeah. Well, and I understand why someone would come up with that deal. Like, Deshaun Watson's worth it. He's a top 5 to top 3 quarterback in the league. We had the discussion earlier, and it kind of triggered a longer discussion, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. You're rebuilding a team, and everyone's a free agent. Who are the top 3 guys you're going after first at the quarterback position?
Watson, Allen, and Mahomes, probably. Or Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly between 3 guys. And Mahomes is your number 1, that's guaranteed. Then your 2 and 3 are Watson and Allen. Which would you go with?
You like Allen, I like Watson. So I mean, it's completely fine. But like I said, I mean, honestly, at this point, I kind of hope it happens just so we can have like a test piece to see if this, like in the future, if this would actually work. Because I have a very hard time believing that because I look at this like if I'm Deshaun Watson, kind of, I look at this as, yes, the Texans have nothing. They've messed everything up. They are horrible, and I still want to get out of there. But wherever you're going, Deshaun Watson needs to know that you're not getting a much better situation than Houston, because they're going to have to give up so much to get you.
Well, and
that's why I think the Dolphins have they have the best shot, because they can offer a young quarterback that was highly regarded.
And they have extra draft capital and talent elsewhere that they could give up.
And I mean, this isn't more of like a 1 and 2 quarterbacks. Like, we think there's 2 quarterbacks in this draft that are going to be studs. Like, we're like, okay, there's 1 quarterback that we know that's going to be a stud, and then we have like 3 or 4 question marks. So
and
he just needs to know that wherever he's going. I mean, going to the Panthers. I mean, who do you even throw to if the Panthers complete that trade? I mean,
DJ Moore, and that's it.
They would probably want DJ Moore. I mean, if I'm the Texans, I'll tell you the three players I want. I want McCaffrey, I want Brian Burns, and then I want DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
The three young players, and then I could probably sub in or out either Jeremy Chin or Curtis. Curtis Samuel. I would rather give away Curtis Samuel. Well, I don't know. Curtis Samuel's got a couple seasons. But yeah, it's just, it goes back to really, like, obviously we know to build around a quarterback, but
yeah, well, I've been having a lot of conversations with my father about the Deshaun Watson situation. If Deshaun Watson really wanted out and he really wanted to go to a situation where it's not as bad or worse than where he's at now, what he should do is say, all right, forget everything else that I have said up until this point. The only team I will waive my no trade clause to is X. Put it in whatever team. Because then by doing that, you give whatever team you just listed leverage, right? Like, you're still going to be giving up a lot for him, but it's not going to turn into a bidding war where wherever you're going is going to be paying this king's ransom and more to get you. If you say, I'm only going to do it for this team, that gives that team some leverage to kind of hold back and say, this is all we're going to offer. And if you don't want it, then you can keep paying them to sit on your bench. That gives them some leverage, and that's how you force your way into a better situation. But by saying, yeah, I'll waive it for this team and this team and this team and this team, you're turning it into a bidding war where they're not going to be able to have anything around you when they get you. You know what I mean?
It's gonna, however the situation turns out, it's gonna change the front office player relationship a lot, I think, because if Deshaun Watson does that and basically says that this team I want to go to and they're only going to offer this, the Texans could still say no. And basically, I mean, you are basically essentially putting down the first thing in the history of the NFL that you don't have to trade him. It's a spite move. They will pay you to sit on the bench than play for somebody else. And that's when you know that the owners have more power, rather than if it happens the other way around, then the players take over way more power in the minds of the owners, which is why NBA owners have literally no leverage.
Yeah. And that's why I kind of want to see the Texans go that route, because the way that the league is set up, the owners should have the power. I hated it when Le'Veon Bell sat out the entire season. It's a breach of contract. You signed a contract to play with your team. You have to play it out.
I'm more of in the middle on it, really, because I think the front office looks at players as a business. You can't have hard feelings and things like that.
Well, and I get that, and I really do think there needs to be more of a balance, but I don't know. I find it more offensive as a fan to watch Le'Veon Bell sit out the entire season than to have the owners look at players as a business. But I totally understand the theory behind it. I do back the players. I do think that they deserve better treatment, and the NFLPA needs to work out some better arrangement. I just don't know what that is. But all I do know is if you sign a contract, you should play it out, especially if you're making millions and millions of dollars like Deshaun Watson is. You know, after this season, Deshaun Watson's going to be making $40 million a year for the next 5 years. There's nothing he can complain about.
Yeah, like I said, it's different for everybody, but we have another quarterback to talk about in our friend out in Seattle. We always knew quarterbacks were divas. I guess we didn't know this much, but apparently I don't know much about it. But apparently in the eyes of the Seahawks, front office and their coaching, Russell Wilson has a lot more to do with the problems for the Seahawks than originally thought.
Man, I'm not going to lie, I don't really know where to start with this because this was such a shock to me when I read it. So obviously about a month and a half, somewhere in there, it became known that Russell Wilson was upset with the way the Seahawks were building around him because of how much he was getting hit in the backfield. Then things kind of died down after the trade rumors kind of started dying down. Oh, God. Sorry. So everything kind of started dying down, but there were still rumblings he could go here, he could do that. But then today, there was a release from Russell Wilson's agent saying that, we're not requesting a trade formally, but Russ has 4 teams that he wants to go to if he gets traded.
I saw that.
Now the Seahawks are pissed because they were mad at Russell Wilson for making his frustrations known on a podcast, I think it was, or a newscast. They are pissed that his agent is now saying, oh, we're not requesting it formally, but this is where we'd want to go if we were traded. They are pissed at him.
What do you do? I mean, I guess if I'm the rest of the NFL, I'm like, hey, there's another option out there besides Deshaun Watson. The more and more this offseason goes on, the more and more I feel like NFL players are trying to become, and they should want more value like the NBA players get, but they're turning into more of like how the NBA players act regarding all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what to do with Russell Wilson. I can't see him getting traded. I can't see him. Russell Wilson also is a guy I can't see would just sit out a season either.
It's always been the unspoken rule that quarterbacks don't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see if either one of these guys does it.
If I'm the Seahawks, I look at it this way. You got to play this coming season, and then at the end of the season, you make your choice. You want Pete Carroll or do you want Russell Wilson, and you just move on with that. Because
Agreed.
there's no point in talking about it right now because Russell Wilson's not going to sit out the season.
He's not sitting out, and honestly, he's not going to get traded. Let's be real.
I don't think so either. I just don't. I mean, but like I said, if I'm the Dolphins or any other team like that, I'm like,
I'll throw it in. Why not? Oh, where did Justin go now? Oh boy, here we are again. I just don't see really any way that Russell Wilson gets traded here. I don't.
Yeah. I lost it again. I almost threw my laptop out of the window, but we're good.
I started like, oh no, where did Justin
go? But yeah, so we will, now we're going to get into, we probably won't get to any segments today because we're now just getting into the meat of what we were trying to talk about. But we'll figure it out. So basically over the next couple of weeks, we're going to kind of look at each division in the NFL, each of the 8 ones, and kind of break them down by the teams and what their needs are and some fits, or like I did, I have one specific fit for each team that I think would be good. I'm sure you have something. I'm sure you have something different, but yeah, so we're just going to go into the AFC East first. Maybe we'll do the AFC South next, or maybe the NFC East. Yeah, we'll do the AFC East and NFC East, and then things like that. So obviously, this is your territory. I'm surprised last night when Ryan was asking in the meeting, you didn't raise your hand and say, "I'll do the Big East football players."
I don't think there's. I don't know. I don't know.
Where were you on that one?
I don't know if Big East football is legit like that because I know Butler's in FCS.
You have to do like
doing the.
It's the American.
Yeah, I'm doing the American. Basically. So basically, Cincinnati, Houston, and whatever other team has had a good season this year. But yeah,
Coastal
I'm doing
Carolina.
The American. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Yeah. So we'll start in the East, and like I said, this is your territory. So just go over what you think the needs are for AFC East teams.
Let's go one at a time. So we'll pick a team that we could start with, and we'll go from there.
All right. We'll do Jets last. So
perfect.
Dolphins.
All right. So for the Dolphins, I actually really like the direction that they're going in. I feel like the young talent that they've drafted and the way that they've kind of gone about it has been really good. If I had to pick I have three soft spots where they're not terrible, but they could use a guy. The first one being linebacker. Their linebacking core is definitely the weak spot on their defense, as their secondary is pretty good and their defensive line has been getting really good pressure, as we saw, because Miami was a top. Did they finish top 5 in defense? Do you know? They were up there, I think. Justin. Oh, baby. He's going to throw his laptop right out the window.
All right, we're back. We're back.
I'm like, oh boy, here it comes.
No,
Here it comes.
I was there the whole time. It just wasn't connecting. All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Linebacker. I think the Dolphins finished like top 5, top 7 for defense this year, right? They had a really good defense, you know.
Yeah. They were. I think they were top 5. Because
I think they were top 5 as
what's
well.
his name? What's their coach's name? It's not Mel Tucker. It's
No.
Brian Flores. Yep.
Yeah.
He came over from the Patriots. Yeah. Okay, go on.
So their linebackers, I felt, are their weakest link on defense, just because their secondary is pretty good. The defensive line got a lot of pressure. So if they needed another guy like that, I have that as their biggest need. Then a second safety or a safety, not obviously to play at Minkah Fitzpatrick's caliber, because no one can really do that, because he's one of the best safeties in the league. But
Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins. I love Christian Wilkins.
That was the guy I was thinking of instead of Clellan
Dude
Ferrell.
with the split.
Okay, go on. Yes,
Yeah.
go on. I got it.
I love him.
Okay, go. I just had to say his name because I had it. I was looking at the Dolphins. I was looking at the Dolphins depth chart. I saw his name. Okay, go ahead.
I felt the safety position was a little bit soft. Even though they're solid players, they're obviously they played okay. If you could land like a big name safety, like I'll get to that. And then obviously O-line to protect Tua as much as possible, because you're going to roll with him, or if you're going to roll with Deshaun Watson, you still need a lineman. So those are my big 3 for them. And then as far as my perfect free agent pickup, I have 2 guys on here. One of them is Marcus Williams from the Chiefs, the safety.
Yeah, I know he's.
I think he would be exactly the type of guy that would help elevate that secondary. And then the other one that I said was Bud Dupree, getting him as an additional edge rusher there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I actually agree with you a lot about the Dolphins. I think they've built the right way. And I'm looking at the Dolphins depth chart right now. What it seems like Flores did basically with a lot of these guys, well, except a lot of the defensive guys, I mean, they're basically like restarting their career again all over. Like Kyle Van Noy is 31. Mm-hmm. Manuel Agba played for the Browns, was terrible, but now is pretty damn good. Xavier, I mean, their safeties aren't great, but I mean, their 2 corners are 2 of the best in the league. Like 2 top 6, and
Xavier. Yep.
2 top 6, 2 top 7 corners in the league. Probably the best tandem in the league, I would say.
Agreed.
But for them, I like to, when I say the needs for a team, I like to say all of them. Like I cover all my bases and everything. I always say the offensive line. Offensive line is a big need for that. Not a need, but I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart right now, and Robert Hunt, Jesse Davis, Ted Karras, Eric Flowers. Okay, Austin Jackson is young, but he could be something. But that's not going to get it done. He's not bad, but he was one of the later. I think he late
19.
First round, second. Yeah. So he can turn into something good. But and then I'm trying to find where I was. And then I had them linebacker as well. I have quarterback in here just because I think there's a chance they don't come out with Tua, but then again they'll come out with one of the quarterbacks, so that's really null. And then Gesicki's at tight end, but it would be helpful for them to have like a speedy, kind of more of a slot, either receiver or like a more of a all-purpose running back kind of guy. And like I said, I think and you kind of said too, I think the Dolphins are trying to build their defense, which is almost odd in this day and age because offense is so
crucial,
but I actually like what they're doing. And I know this is a big if, but I think one of the perfect fits for them, like I said, the money part of it. I don't know how much money they have spent. I know they have a decent amount, correct?
So let me just pull it up real quick. I think they have a decent amount. They are currently 10th. They have 28 mil before the luxury tax, I believe.
I think if they were able to sign Shaq Barrett to 14, 15, 16 mil a year, I think that would be a awesome for their edge rushing, and obviously it's still a young name that can bolster your linebacking core. And then some other guys, obviously, I think they need to fix the linebackers the most. So anybody in like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it's Jack Barrett. So, but obviously guys like Von Miller too would be huge. But those are going to be, and then guys like you said, Bud Dupree. I mean, he's going to come in at probably at least half the price of some of the big names. So. So will
JJ Watt, maybe, bro. I mean, who knows?
If the Dolphins signed him, I wouldn't be shocked, but that would be the exact opposite of how they've built their team to almost make the playoffs this year. So that would be kind of going against what's been going good for the Dolphins for the first time in 25 years. So
yeah,
but anything is possible. So yeah, like I said, so some of those other guys would be good. Obviously, I think a receiver down there would be huge. I think a great offseason for them would be if you add Shaq Barrett, you get Penei Sewell to protect Tagovailoa, and you sign either Godwin or Allen Robinson, one of those guys. And I mean, that way you have a three-pronged attack. Because I don't think their defense needs a ton of work, but I think their defense does need work. And if they've done this by building their defense, so why not keep building their defense, in my opinion? Because the offense is either going to come this year with Tua or it's not, and then you need to get another quarterback. So they're in a good spot this year, I think.
The only thing about never mind. Point redacted.
Whatever. All right. So we'll go to the Patriots. I'll go first on this one.
Beautiful.
Because I'm so happy about it. The Patriots literally need help everywhere. They obviously need a quarterback because I cannot imagine Cam Newton going back there. They need another defensive back to either pair with not Richard Sherman, Stephon Gilmore for his last couple of years, or to eventually replace him. And it's hard to say if they need linebackers or not because basically their whole linebacking core opted out this season. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit up in the air, but they still need defensive line help. And like I said, secondary help. They really need help all over. And they're in a position, I think 19th or 18th it's 15th in the draft where they're probably going to be in a position where they can just grab the best player available. If Kyle Pitts is there for them, I really hope they grab him, even though I hate the Patriots. And then I think someone that the Patriots could sign pretty easily. The dude's been in the AFC East, I think, his entire career, that could carry them over through next year, at least to a decent year next year, into like maybe draft a quarterback late in the first or in the second round, or then maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he knows the AFC East like the back of his hand.
Complete the cycle, baby.
And it just 1 year in New England, then he retires. They finish 9-7. They draft, Trask out of Florida in the second round, and you just let him do that. But yeah, I think it would be good for. I think it would be good to sign Ryan Fitzpatrick. I said last year I wanted the Browns to sign Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would love if the Browns signed Ryan Fitzpatrick this year. He's the best backup in the league. I think we talked about it because what you want from your backup quarterback is, let's be honest. If your starting quarterback goes down and he's out for 8 or 10 weeks, you're screwed anyways. What you really want is when your quarterback, like, hey, Mayfield did hurt his ribs, he needs to miss 1 or 2 games. You need your backup that can win at least one of those games and keep you in the other one. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is perfect for that. So
I 100% agree. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick is good for maximum 6 games a year. And he will look lights out for those 6 games. And
and they're awesome. They're awesome. He looks so good. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's from Harvard. He looks like he's 27 out there.
Perfect score on the Wonderlic.
No, that wasn't him. That was
No, it was.
No, it was McElroy from Alabama got a perfect. Oh, maybe he got a perfect score too. But McElroy got a perfect score.
Yeah, he did. And
the only thing I remember about the what's that test called?
Wonderlic.
I'm pretty sure it was either Josh Gordon or Braylon Edwards or one of the other Browns picks, but they literally, or maybe it was Terrell Pryor when he was coming out. They literally got like a 4, and you get like 3 points for putting your name on it. It's like the old SAT joke. Like you get points for putting your name on.
There are 5 players in
So,
NFL history who have gotten perfect scores. Some punter named Pat McInley. Oh, not a perfect. He's the only person to get a perfect score. Mike Mamula got a 49 out of 50. Ryan Fitzpatrick got a 48 out of 50. Greg McElroy got a 48 out of 50. And Ben Watson. Remember Ben Watson? Yeah, he got a 48 out of 50.
Yeah, he went to he went to an Ivy League school too, didn't he? Look at these lowest running or Wonderlic scores. Vince Young got 6. Frank Gore got 6. I guess I'm trying to find Morris Claiborne. I think he's still in the league. He got a 4. But yeah, geez, that's bad. Wait. I think. Okay, so these are job titles and your average Wonderlic score if you want this job title. All right. Yeah. So a systems analyst, you need a 32. A chemist, you need 31. Electrical engineer, you need a 30. Engineer, not electrical engineer, you just need a 29. Programmer, 29. Accountant, 28. Executive, 28. Reporter.
Oh, no. Oh, Justin, don't go. Oh. No. Are you still here? Oh, man. Hello? Is your computer still in your room? That's my main question and concern. Oh man. Okay. Enough about the Wonderlic. I'm gonna go into what I feel about New England here. Yeah, there he goes. So Justin kind of touched on the point that I was trying to make when I was coming up with my big 3 needs for them. For the Patriots, that is. I didn't want to put any defensive needs yet because of how many people opted out of the season. So I think out of their 11 starters on defense, like 5 or 6 defensive players opted out that were starting. So I didn't put any defensive players on here. So the big 3 needs that I have here for the Patriots include a quarterback, number 1, because like we talked about, Cam Newton is not going to be returning. And Jarrett Stidham is just not – he's not the move. So quarterback's their biggest need for me. Offensive line, they always need offensive linemen to kind of replenish so that they don't have to pay the big bucks to keep their offensive line. And then wide receivers and tight ends. Just honestly those skill positions because they don't have anything, and they showed that this year with Cam. Tom Brady made everyone look good because he's the best quarterback of all time. So they definitely do need some receivers. So my perfect pick or my perfect pickup for them contains, again, 2 players, Dak Prescott or Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. That's barring a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. So somehow Dak gets away from Dallas. Obviously, he's the number 1 guy. But I think a Brissett reunion would actually be very good for both parties, excuse me. And then the other kind of thought that I had for a perfect pickup was AJ Green from the Cincinnati Bengals. He could be a really solid number 1, even though I want to say he's 32. Where is AJ Green here? I'm trying to find AJ Green to just get his age here, and I don't even see where he's at. AJ Green's 33. So he's on the older side of his career. That's true. But he still, in my eyes, has some left in the tank. So if you bring him in to play alongside Julian Edelman and Jacoby Myers, it's a lot more appealing having that kind of guy like that there. So That's kind of where I'm going at with New England if I'm the GM, which, yikes, that would be a terrible spot to be in right now. So then I think the last team before we got to the Jets we were going to talk about is Buffalo. Buffalo. Oh, hang on here. We got Justin. Okay. My big three needs for Buffalo, but we kind of touched on Buffalo when we were talking about J.J. Watt. I feel they really need an edge rusher of some type, but it's not their biggest need just because of the big names that they have and the fact that they drafted A.J. Epineza. So I didn't put that on here, but if they were to go after someone like that, I would totally understand. So their biggest need on my list is a tight end, because you look at the guys that they have built around Josh Allen. They have Stephon Diggs, who led the league in yardage and I think catches too. Excuse me 1 second. My throat's getting pretty dry. God, what was I going with? Oh, crap. Oh. Okay. The tight end, they have three guys that they were trying to play through it. And it just wasn't working that well. So I think a really solid tight end could really open up that offense even more than it's already opened up. So having a tight end there would not be terrible. The next need that I had for them was cornerback. Not really because their defense was horrible. I think I may have mentioned out of the playoffs last year, before you go and look back at how dominant the Bucs were, the Bills were one of the more complete teams I felt in the playoffs and in the league last year. Really solid on both sides. So it's not a knock on their defense whatsoever, but you look at the depth chart for the Buffalo Bills, and their cornerbacks are Tre'Davious White, who, I hate to say it, in my opinion, he's a little overrated for how good he is, but I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to say anything bad about him other than that, but he's a true one. I'm not saying he's not, but he's a true one corner, just not nearly as locked down as everyone thinks. But then after that, it goes Josh Norman, who we all saw the stiff arm with Derrick Henry. I mean, he's old. He's been a journeyman. He's tired. He's got to go, I think. He could still be in your rotation, but he can't be the guy. So I'm going to they need a guy there. Taron Johnson had really great plays in the playoffs. I love what he's doing. He's not nearly ready, though, to take over an every down corner situation. So he should really stay at the nickel. And then after that, they have Ciaran Neal, I think his name is. I don't even know. I'm not going to lie. And Levi Wallace. So corner is definitely a big need for them there. And then to close out Buffalo, they either need a wide receiver 2 or a slot. You got to decide what Cole Beasley is going to be or what John Brown is going to be. And you have Gabriel Davis, who could be very good. We just don't know what he's going to be yet. So for my perfect grab for them to fill the tight end position, Hunter Henry would just absolutely dominate in the Buffalo system, as well as Corey Davis from the Tennessee Titans. He would be very, very interesting to insert into that offense, because I think he's like Stephon Diggs light, where he's not nearly as talented, but he is of the same play style and everything. And I know that's not the typical wide receiver group that you would normally start to see in the NFL, where if you look at someone like the Seahawks, where I think they have a traditional wide receiver core, they have DK Metcalf, who's their big physical receiver and their deep threat, and Tyler Lockett, who is going to kind of be your everything back, or not, not back, receiver, where he can run the short routes and get all the short throws from Wilson, and still be able to kind of do crossing routes and everything like that. So pairing Davis and Diggs is not nearly traditional, but I do think that it's going to be it would be very interesting to see how they would play together, especially with Josh Allen's cannon of an arm. Then finally, to close out the AFC East, I don't know if Justin's going to be getting back, so I'm going to rush through these with my Jets. Wide receiver, in my opinion, biggest need. I'm just going to close this out. I'm sorry. I cannot do this by myself. It makes me very uncomfortable, but we will be trying again some point over the weekend. I have a very busy schedule the rest of the week, so if we don't get it over the weekend, we'll probably do a Sunday special before we return back on Monday. Thank you guys so much for listening, for those who are here, and I hope that we can see you guys again next time we're on the show. Thank you.
I'm back.